I'm really looking forward to this next segment where we get to hear from two awesome people. And I'm going to introduce the first part of the duo, and then Louise will introduce the second part. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce my friend and business partner, Dr. Louise Ormerod. Apart from being Peter Glennie's better half, Louise wrote that bit in. Louise is joint owner and director of Juice Plus. Her past experience, particularly her analytical skills, have come together to help inform the strategic direction of this company, which she refers to as her second home and family. Prior to joining the Juice Plus company, Louise had a successful career as an academic lecturer, researcher, and consultant as a, I'm not going to say it, it's a river scientist. I'm not saying the really, really long word because I'll probably stuff it up. But she's taught me a lot about rivers, I can tell you. Louise presented at international conferences and published scientific research in the global top journals in her field. This woman is a very, very smart lady. Indeed, it was the research on the product that first drew Louise to Juice Plus in 1998 as a customer. In addition to her role as a director, Louise was able to act on a lifelong passion in 2008 and started a foundation associated with Juice Plus, Nutrition Plus, a charity devoted to improving the health of predominantly Australian Indigenous children through improved nutrition and education in conjunction with the support of many franchisees, and we really appreciate that. Louise, like Peter, is dedicated to Juice Plus, the team at Juice Plus Company Australia head office, and their franchisees and the thousands of Juice Plus customers around Australia and New Zealand. Can you give a great big welcome to Dr. Louise Ormerod?
Everyone having a good time? Woo! Right, well, I know that probably everybody in this room now has heard something about Nutrition Plus, but probably there are many in this room that may not know exactly what Nutrition Plus is. So hopefully by the end of this segment you will. For the rest of you, I'm going to steal some of Jay's words, and I might have told some of this to you before, okay? And by the way, you can only get this book if you sponsor a child or you donate $50 or more. So, okay. So, in order to go forward, I think I need to go back because there are so many new people in the room. So, let's go back. So, around 30 years ago, when I was a mature age undergraduate student, I had the privilege of having an Aboriginal lecturer, Bill Jonas, who planted a small seed in my heart. Now, I had no way of watering that seed. I had no way of knowing what to do until Peter and I bought this company. So this company has allowed me to fulfill one of my dreams, and I know this company will help you all achieve and fulfill your dreams as well. I know that for a fact. So I knew I had the most beautiful products. I knew they worked, and I wanted to do something for the people in our society, our communities, and in their own communities who had the least access to fresh fruits and vegetables or anything that was healthy. And I knew that our products would make a difference. So we started Nutrition Plus in about 2008, and we've had some challenges. We've had lots of challenges. We've had lots of success as well. And I know we can do so much more if we can get your help. So I need to go to the big green button. Yay, that worked. So one of the things I know as a scientist, and through the stories that have been told to me personally, is that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture is way older than 40,000 years. Way, way older. So there are stories about meteorite strikes, ice ages, floods. They talk about one flood as the Noah's flood. and volcanic eruptions. So potentially, this culture is way older than 40,000 years and potentially millions of years old. The stories are handed down from generation to generation, from grandmother to child. They are sung, they are danced, they are recorded in the written language of Aboriginal people, in the rocks as paintings and as carvings. And they record geological events, among other many things. So our relationship with Aboriginal people has been disastrous right from the get-go, okay? So imagine if some of these things had happened to you, your family, or people that you cared about. So these are some of our government policies. So right at the beginning, it was fairly disastrous because it was all-out slaughter. So you can imagine the trauma that those people experienced, either through death through physical violence or through disease. But there was decimation, and that's for sure. And then an idea came along, oh, let's protect Aboriginal people and let's put them to work for us. Okay, so even small children were put to work for Europeans, enslaved, basically. And then, oh, hang on a minute, we really don't want to see these people, we don't want anything to do with them. Let's, put them back out and put them in communities or separate them. So it was basically Australian apartheid policy. And then, hang on a minute, let's try and make them white. Let's make them forget everything they knew about their own culture. Let's make them white. Let's assimilate them into our society. All the way along, children were being taken from their families. You can imagine the distress of a mother or a grandmother or an auntie or even an uncle having a child ripped from their arms, physically, just about. You can imagine how that would affect you, how that would affect your family. How would you go on? How could you go on? What would you do? Some of the things you might do is maybe resort to alcohol. Maybe you become a little violent yourself. Maybe you've got post-traumatic stress. Maybe you get depressed. Maybe you commit suicide. All of these things have happened, and it's still happening. In the Northern Territory in 2007, the government started an intervention. This policy is abominable. It has caused far more damage. It has stripped people of their culture, of their dignity, of the right to have an income. It has closed communities down. It should never, ever, ever have happened, and for no good reason, really. Some of the aspects of this policy are being rolled out around Australia in other communities, in Queensland, in South Australia, in New South Wales. This policy is not due to finish until 2022. So here are some of the results of all of this trauma and all of this unpleasantness. Some statistics about, some health statistics. We all know they have the shortest life expectancy. It's still growing. Closing the gap is just really not happening. Children have a death rate 4 times more than the national average. 40% of children suffer from chronic infections. Highest level of disability. 47% of adults, by the time they get to adulthood, have a disability. Not just an illness that's going to go away, a disability, like deafness or blindness. And the poorest nutrition and the poorest access to fruits and vegetables for many reasons, and there is a diabetic epidemic. So, what are we doing? What can we do? This is what Nutrition Plus does. We provide children with our beautiful products in schools, predominantly school programs, but we've also now expanded into PCYCs. We help them with school gardens so that they learn how to grow fruit and vegetables. They understand what fruit and vegetables are, and we also highly encourage the use of bush tucker in those gardens, because they were the masters of God's apothecary. They were the masters, and yet we ignored all of that information. Much of that information has disappeared with the people that knew that information. We support cooking programs. So often the produce that is produced goes into cooking programs, and so they get to try out how to use these fruits and vegetables and taste them and prepare them for other people. And we support educational programs. We try and expose children to other experiences that will help broaden their understanding of the value of fruits and vegetables. And we also try and encourage the integration of culture, the local culture. So wherever those projects are, we encourage the local culture. And we also have Uncle Paul, who's going to come up in a minute, who is the cultural advisor to Nutrition Plus. And I've got his book right there in the corner, this one. It is a valuable resource, both from an Aboriginal knowledge base, but also a most brilliant leadership book. And he's going to be presenting some information out of that book today. And one of the things we like to do is support opportunities for people to increase their understanding and awareness and support reconciliation. So pretty much that's what I'm doing right now, and we do other events around that as well. Thank you. Over the last few months, Nutrition Plus has taken a step into the future, our future vision. And as part of that, we've become part of a global initiative called the 10 Million Meals. And this is an initiative of Jane Martin, thank you, who is also, I consider, one of my mentors. And what this means is that through a very small donation from senior direct people and above, I'll explain that in a minute, we're able to increase what we'll be able to do, and we'll be able to get our products into other programs. And we've started with the PCYC program, and we're in 4 centres at the moment trialling that. So the small donation is 0.5% of your commissions if you're senior direct and above. Now you can opt out. You will be able to opt out. So just to put that into perspective for anyone who has no idea what that means, if you're earning $100 a month, that means it's a 50-cent donation. If you're earning $1,000 a month, that is a $5 donation. So this will mean that we will be able to expand what we're doing even further, and I'm just going to thank those that are not going to tick the out box right now. Thank you. So you can find out more about us on our website and also on Facebook and in the newsletter, The Weekly Juice. We generally have an update every week in the Weekly Juice. But right now, I would like to introduce one of my mentors and a good friend, Uncle Paul Gordon. He was born in Western New South Wales, is widely known throughout New South Wales and indeed Australia as a senior custodian of traditional law and is highly respected and sought after. Uncle Paul has a relationship with Nutrition Plus through one of our board members, David Newham, and has become a respected cultural mentor for the board and the organisation. Over the last few years, Uncle Paul has also assisted the Juice Plus company by sharing some ageless leadership skills of our first people at our NMD school. Uncle Paul has had many positions in government, NGO and educational organisations, but his greatest impact is teaching and sharing both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people the wisdom and the application of traditional law and culture. Through these ancient obligations of sharing and caring, Uncle Paul personifies respect and humility and has a magical ability to take people on the journey with him. We are extremely fortunate to have him in our Nutrition Plus and Juice Plus family and sitting in our camp. Welcome, Uncle Paul.
Well, firstly, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners and thank them for allowing us to be on this beautiful country. Thank Auntie Carolyn for a wonderful welcome yesterday. And her grandson is going to share some dance with us tonight. I'd like to thank Louise and Peter for allowing and giving me this opportunity to come down and speak. Thank Nutrition Plus and Juice Plus for the opportunity. My old people first taught me and said, boy, if you come to me knowing everything, I can teach you nothing. But if you come to me knowing nothing, I can teach you everything. They also said, sharing promotes caring. If you want people to care, you have to share. Under our law, we had one rule, and it was to give. Nampati nampati means give, give. Always give. Never take what don't belong to you, always give. Law, as in L-O-R-E, is a story. The more story you have, the more knowledge you have. When we think about what we're doing, even with Juice Plus, the more knowledge you have about the marketplace, about the company, about the product, the more story you're going to be able to share. And that's what it was for us growing up out in the bush. For me as a child, the more people told me story, the more I understood my world and my place. I understood about where the bush tucker was, how to make rope, how to catch fish, how to catch a kangaroo, how to catch an emu. The more story I got, the more knowledge I got, and the easier it was to live in my country. Aboriginal people, according to science now, have been here for more than 200,000 years. 750 languages, 2,500 different dialects, at least 10,000 different groups of people, living on an island for more than 200,000 years. Yet in 200,000 years, they never built a castle, they never built a fort, they never built a fence, they never built a jail. Think about that. There's not a battlefield in Aboriginal Australia where you'll find 10,000 skulls like you will in Europe. We never built armies, we built relationships with one another through story and through connection. We were kin with one another, not just with one another as humans, but with everything within our world. Trees, rocks, birds, fish, everything. We had a story about the sky and how it got there and how it relates to how we live our life on earth. And the more you learn about something, the more knowledge you gather about something, the more passion and love you'll have for that thing. And when you have love and passion, you'll have belief. So think about that from your business point of view. The more knowledge you have, the more passion you're going to build, the more love you're going to build, and the more belief you're going to build. In our belief system over on the other side, everything is conceived. Right? Children are conceived before they're born. Businesses are an idea in the mind of somebody before it's born. Everything was conceived. Rocks, birds, the universe, the moon, the sun, the stars was conceived, and then they were born. And everything grows. But what it grows in is really important. If it grows in love, if it grows in giving, then we will have a beautiful world because everyone gives and everybody loves. If it grows in a place of violence or hatred or alcoholism or abuse, then we're going to have sad, sick children and sad, sick communities. We're no different to a tree. If a tree seed falls on bad soil, it'll grow into a sick old tree. If it grows in the right soil and gets the right nutrients, it'll become a beautiful, strong tree. Think about that in your business point of view. Are you growing your business in love? Are you growing your business in giving? Because if everybody gives, everybody receives. If everybody takes, nobody receives. So it's about giving to one another. When you grow in giving, you understand responsibility. When you accept responsibility, life becomes meaningful. I know thousands of people who are running away from responsibility, and they're all stressed and they're all worried. But if you take on your responsibility of giving and caring and looking after one another, life becomes meaningful. When life becomes meaningful, you become fulfilled and happy. And that's a wonderful place to be. And that's what Aboriginal people had for more than 200,000 years. They had a place of happiness, a place where everybody had responsibility, looking after one another and looking after country. We had very healthy lives. Bush tucker is very healthy. My old people, even when I was a young man, who were born fully in traditional times, lived until they were way over 100 because they grew up on bush tucker, natural foods from the land. My father's generation, who was removed from the land and put on the missions, grew up on white flour, black tea and sugar. They were dead before they were 50. So the land and the natural products that grow in the country is what we all should be partaking of, because that's what God put there. That's what our Mother Earth put there. And that's what we belong to, all them things. When you become fulfilled and happy, you feel complete. And like everything, when you become complete, eventually you'll die, like all things do. And for us, as Aboriginal people, we believe we go back to the ground, back to our mother, we become part of the dirt again, and then a little bit of grass grows in us, we become part of the grass. Kangaroo comes along and eats the grass, we become part of the kangaroo. Tree grows in us, we become part of the tree. Tree bears fruit, the bird eats the fruit, we become part of the bird. And so we live on and on and on and on as many different things, which is why when the old people say, you are one with everything, they're actually saying that from a scientific point of view. You are one with everything because you go back to the earth many times and you recycle many times. But your spirit goes on a journey for us. And I don't know whether you're aware of it, but you might see on TV when there's Aboriginal television on, people will say something like, the images you're going to see maybe have become deceased. And when somebody passes away and their spirit goes on a journey, we say we can't speak their name. So we change our names if we have the same name as the person who passed away. And that's as a sign of respect. And while they're on that journey, we can't use their name again until they get to that place where they're going to. And then the family will say, oh, you can speak that name again now, the spirit's gone to that place. And then when conceivement happens again, that spirit might enter that child again and live again within that child. So we have many beliefs, and sometimes they're different to each other. But we never argue about it. We go, okay, that's your belief, this is my belief. Let's share our story together and let's accept both of them. Because you have a story and it's different to mine. But I can't say that your story is wrong, and you can't tell me my story is wrong. We all have a story, and it's all different. And I can't take from yours and you can't take from mine. But we can sit down together and share each other's story. And that's really important, and that's why we can live together in harmony for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, because even though we might have spoke different languages, might have different beliefs, we can still sit down together and respect and share each other's story. What a wonderful world we would have if people could sit down together and share each other's story and accept each other's story. The way I learnt about my law was by looking and listening. The more I looked and listened to the old people, the more I learnt, the more my knowledge built up. It's no different in business. The more you look and listen to the people who have done it before you, the 200 Club was the one I'd be listening to, I reckon. That's where I want to be. Find out that road and follow that one. So the more you look and listen, the more you learn. But if you're silly and you go, you can't teach me nothing, because I know everything, then you're probably always going to fail. Now, the last L is lead. You see, you can't have leadership without knowledge. To be a good leader, you've got to have knowledge. To be a good leader, you've got to have love and passion. To be a good leader, you've got to look and listen. To be a good leader, you've got to be always willing to learn new things. And that's one of the problems with the world today, is that thousands and thousands of Indigenous peoples who had wonderful knowledge to give have been dispossessed, and we disregard their knowledge. If we would only listen to the people who have been living on country for thousands of years, we would learn so much more about our country and our place. That word ngurumpa means, ngura means camp. And when I say ngurumpa, it means my world or my camp and my relationship with everything in it. And when people come to my camp, to my home, I want to share with them. I want to share with them because sharing promotes caring. I want you to come to my camp. I want you to sit down. I want you to learn about my country, about the things in my country. Aboriginal people had good government, good health practitioners, a good education system. We had all them things in this country a long time before Europeans arrived here. And we had harmony. So we got something to give to show people how they can live in harmony with one another and with their country. Now, as Australians, we need to think about our home. We need to respect our home. We need to care for our home, because our home is the only thing we have. If we don't look after it, it can't look after us. So we need to think about giving to one another, giving back to our country. Not taking from it all the time, but giving it back. It's a living thing. It's not just a resource, it's a living thing. So embrace Aboriginal culture, embrace one another, but always think about giving. Always think about love and sharing, not taking. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Uncle Paul. That was amazing, as always. I always learn something new. So just to finish off this segment, if you're engaged and you want to get involved a little bit more with Nutrition Plus, which is the charity of choice for Juice Plus, you can bid on some items tonight's auction. And one of the prizes has been donated by Uncle Paul, and it is a weekend for up to 6 people at his beautiful property at Wollombi in the Hunter Valley. You will need to bring a sleeping bag, and we can organise connections from the train station or the airport in Newcastle, but you'll have to get yourself there. But I can guarantee it will be a life-changing couple of days if you are the highest bidder on that one. The other prize is a wonderful gift from Lauren Slocum and Z, which is...
I'm going to change it.
No!
5 nights in Las Vegas.
Okay. Did you hear that? 5 nights in Las Vegas and 2 tickets to Human Nature.
And $200 at Scarpetta's. It's a restaurant.
Okay. And a beautiful gift voucher of $200 at a beautiful restaurant. So, thank you. Thank you. Our bread and butter is our child sponsorships, and as I said before, it's really the only way that you're going to get your hands on this book, which is also full of wonderful stories and information from Jay Martin. You can organise your own fundraisers. I can help you with that. We can help you with that. You can support other fundraisers, and there's so many people in this room that I should be thanking right now that have been working on this all year and helping us fundraise. Or you can just donate on the website or out on our desk. So once again, please get involved. It's a great charity to be involved in, something to talk to your customers about or people that you're meeting as you're going along through your Juice Plus business. So once again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your conference.